This is episode 43 of the Thunder Underground podcast. I'm Trent, and I'm joined by Jason.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much other than the fact that this is the first time we're talking to you since the Broncos won the Super Bowl.
Oh yeah. Congratulations.
Yes.
How does it feel?
It feels amazing.
Okay. Well, good. I'm happy for you.
It's been 17 long years.
Yeah.
I know in that time you felt the joy twice when your team won the Super Bowl.
Yes, I have.
The Giants, for those of you that don't know Jason personally.
That's right. They're my team. And now Trent's team has won, so he is going through that, and it's a great thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the first time in my... Well, I guess I was an adult last time they won. I was like, what?
Yeah, close
like
enough.
20... What was I, 23? No. I don't know. I can't even add right now. 21. So I wasn't a real adult. But anyway, here we are now. The Broncos are back on top, which is a great thing. And I know this has nothing to do with hard rock or heavy metal, but it could segue into something that does.
Well, then I'm always about segues, so let's hear
Which is Coldplay.
Oh, my God.
No. Actually, what we're here to talk about is the night before the Super Bowl.
Yes.
For those of you that pay attention to rock and metal and sports and all this, there was all this talk and people had that big petition and all this shit saying that Metallica should play the Super Bowl because it was in their hometown.
Yeah.
And it made sense, and there's never been a truly heavy band on the Super Bowl that I can think of. I mean, there's been rock, but it's like, your comfortable rock to people like Bruce Springsteen and Tom Petty and U2.
Comfortable rock. I like that term. You've coined a new phrase, Trent.
But, of course, you knew they weren't going to have Metallica on halftime.
No.
And so Metallica set up a thing where they played San Francisco Giants, whatever it's called, AT&T Field.
AT&T Park.
And they just put on a normal concert the night before, and they broadcast it, streamed it, where everybody could watch it on YouTube, which was brilliant. I mean, a lot of people do that nowadays, but this was good for Metallica because it was a build-up where everybody was already... that likes metal and rock was already pissed off they weren't playing. So now here's your opportunity to watch a full-on 2.5 hour set from Metallica, the night before the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And we both watched it.
Yes.
And it was cool.
Yeah, it was pretty good. And I think even James Hetfield mentioned the petition and whatnot and how this was probably a better way to do it. You get their full show. And you've got to think, too, on the Super Bowl halftimes, it's all taped.
Yeah.
And they're just mimicking whatever band is on is just mimicking, to the tape. Because, setting up sound and instruments, and it's such a fast production, they don't have a lot of time. And so no one wants to see Metallica do that.
Right.
You want the real deal. So this was way better of an idea. It was a way better fit for Metallica. They had a new kind of a stage production, different light show, different things going on the screens. I think a kind of a different looking set, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, they had that massive screen that covered the entire stage.
Oh, yeah, this gigantic screen. So it was a great show. It was a pretty cool set list. They started off with 2 Ride the Lightning songs, went to like 2 Load Air songs, and I think back into a Ride the Lightning, and it just kind of skipped around and stuff. So it was a fun show to watch, and like they said, it was a way better idea and a better fit for a band like this.
Yeah, there weren't any surprises, were there? To you, at least?
No.
You follow the set lists?
I follow, yeah. I mean, Metallica is my favorite band in the world. There's none better in my eyes. Argue that all you want, but I've got points on that for days. and I will go to bat for it anytime. Anyways, so I follow this stuff like a madman. I follow all their set lists and what they're doing. And it was pretty standard. So, you got a lot of Black Album stuff. You got 2 Master Puppets. So we got a Whiskey in the Jar, we got a Kill 'Em All song. So, I mean, it was pretty varied. It was pretty heavy on Ride the Lightning and the Black Album, though. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, it's still up. I think you can watch it on YouTube. I think they've still got it on a few different sites. So, if you're a rabid fan like I am, and you haven't watched it yet, go watch it. It's awesome.
Yeah, and if you don't follow closely, Metallica never does the same set list, really.
Yeah.
I mean, they might here and there, but they change it up every night, and it's, there's a lot of the same songs in there, but there's always, a good third or half the set that, gets rotated in and out.
Oh, definitely.
I just love that a band that big does that, because a lot of bands, you've got certain people that do, Bruce Springsteen, Pearl Jam, whoever, but like a lot of bands still that big just work out their set list and perform it for a year straight,
Exactly. And this band doesn't do that. I think that what they always start and stop with is usually the same. Start and end with is usually the same. But they always mix it up, and it's different from night to night. And that I guess that keeps them on their toes. And that's one thing I'd like to say about Metallica is, love them or hate them. I love the old stuff. I don't hate the, if you hate the new stuff and you love the old stuff or whatever, Lars sucks, whatever, that's fine. But I mean, you can't deny they're just one of the coolest live bands, and they always sound great.
Yeah.
And that's just, and that's kind of one of the most important things.
And going back to what you mentioned about the Super Bowl halftime, and it being pre-recorded, lip-synced and lip-played, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Did you see the Carlos Santana?
Yes, I saw that.
That. Like, he posted a thing Monday or Tuesday after the Super Bowl, and basically, because he was on there was there was some kind of segue to something where he was playing.
Yeah.
And, he started it saying, thank you for having me as part of the Super Bowl, but it would have been really cool if you had area artists, and then he mentioned Metallica and Journey and Steve Miller, and I think someone else himself, as part of the halftime celebration. Yeah. And he even mentioned artists playing live, real artists playing real music.
Yeah. Which
is cool to see someone at that level that is that respected across all boards, say something like that. Yeah. Because it's not going to happen, but at least someone's saying it.
Yeah, called them out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because what they're doing now is just, it's just homogenized crap. And I don't know if maybe that's what it should be,
right.
If it's something on a big stage like that. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we're just, rock and metal fans with red ass about it. I don't know, but it's just, it was good that they got called out on some of that shit.
Yeah, I mean, every year you see people complaining. I can't believe that this band's at the halftime, or I can't believe that they never have, heavy metal or hard rock or whatever. They're not in touch with what football fans like and this and that. And I'm like, yeah, most football fans like hard rock or probably rap.
Yeah.
Or maybe country. And those things aren't ever on halftime. Why?
Yeah,
because
exactly.
They're not trying to get you to watch the halftime. You're already watching the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
They're trying to get your girlfriend, your mother, and your gay friend to watch the Super Bowl. That's what they're trying to do. So they don't care that you're not watching.
That's right.
That you're pissed off is what I meant. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to, isn't it?
Yep.
Yep. The feminine contingent.
Yeah. Well, enough of that.
Yeah.
Enough Metallica, okay?
No, there's never enough Metallica. I could talk about them for 2 hours.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, they did. One more thing Kirk did mention during the thing, a new album coming, I think at the end of the show maybe.
Yeah.
Which we already knew, but
yeah,
he said it in a live setting.
Yeah, so it's good to hear, good to hear it kind of, affirms things,
Yep. All right, well, let's get into this right now, episode 43. kick this thing off with some music. And the band we were going to play is out of Italy. And they are called Kerosene. And just jump right into this thing. The song is called Lie. That was called Lie from Kerosene, straight out of Italy. And one thing we know about Italy is their women are beautiful and their music is badass. Right?
I think so.
We just confirmed that.
We can agree on that, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, just this song, this band has an EP out that just came out in January. All the songs are, heavy hitters and they kick ass. They've got a cover of U2's Sunday Bloody Sunday, which is really cool because it's a little different.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, they made it their own. They didn't just phone it in, for sure.
Yeah, because, you imagine when you hear that what it's going to sound like in your head, but it doesn't sound like that. They slowed it down a little.
Yeah.
And it's heavy, but it's not even as, the tempo's not even as fast as U2's version.
Yeah, and you can tell what song it is.
Oh, yeah.
They're not completely raping it at all. So it's,
And it's always cool when people make it their own, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, this song, Lie, it's got that real modern metal sound to it, like, like Seven Dust Disturbed, Tremonti style guitar work,
Yeah, I got that vibe big time.
But when the vocals kick in, that's what just really puts this over the top for me. This guy's voice is just kicks ass. It just reminds me so much of so many singers that I love. Like, it reminds me of that guy from UPO, which most people don't even know. And it reminds me of Ian Astbury. It reminds me of early Chris Cornell. You know, just all this. And it even reminds me of like Oni Logan from Lynch Mob at times. And then when this song gets into its chorus, it even has like an old school kind of Dio vibe in it at times to me. But then it goes right back into that, you know, that hard hitting punch, you know, that you expect. You know. So what's your thoughts on that?
It's funny that you say some of that stuff. I was listening to this earlier today, and I'm like, that guy sounds like somebody. Who does he? He's like a unique voice. It's something you don't hear a lot, but at the same time, like that kind of harkens back to something. And then when you said UPO, it just clicked. I'm like, that's right, and it definitely has that sound. And the riffs, the music is just crystal clear. It's slick as hell. I could see this catching on big time around here. You know, in the States, you know, a band like this would kill it, Rocklahoma or Rock on the Range or something.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I said, just a matter of time. If they just keep at it, you know, this stuff is just perfect for America.
Yeah, check out their EP and find them online. Their website's kerosenemetal.com. And you can find all their social media there. They're obviously on everything, Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Follow them, like them, check out their music, support these guys, because I'm sure if you're listening to us, you're probably going to dig this, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And dig the rest of it. And do check out that Sunday Bloody Sunday cover, because it's cool. Well, we just found out recently that Lamb of God announced the next leg of their tour off their current album that they're on.
Yep, and boy, are we going to get lucky.
Yeah. You thought Anthrax was badass.
Yeah.
Which, you know, we actually, you know, Anthrax is one of our favorite bands, but this goes from just Lamb of God with Anthrax to Lamb of God with Clutch and Corrosion of Conformity, which is just I don't know. It's there's no words, right? That's
astronomical.
Right?
Corrosion of Conformity with Pepper Keenan back.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, I couldn't believe it when I saw it at first. It took me a minute to register. I mean, that's just an insane bill. I mean, it's just, I mean, you got to get there early. Every single band is just like, holy shit. And it's just, and then it's coming to Tulsa. It's like, holy shit. See how speechless I am. That's what I just couldn't. Now we got to go to this one. We kind of fell asleep on the Oklahoma City one for whatever reason. Stuff happened. We didn't get to go to that one. We got to get to this one.
Oh yeah, we will. And when COC, you know, got back with Pepper this past year, that one of my things was I'm gonna see this band live.
Yeah.
You know, we saw them, you know, a few times, but it's been years now. They've been in the area like Texas, Missouri, 2 or 3 times now over the past 6 months, 8 months, where it just didn't work out for me.
Yeah.
Where I couldn't go. So I just kept thinking this is just going to keep not happening. And then this happens right here in our town.
Yep.
And sure, you know, it's kind of, you know, the only downfall is it's COC going to play for 30 minutes, maybe 40 if they're lucky. But you know, you can accept that since Clutch is going on after them.
That's right.
And then Lamb of God's going on after them.
And you don't have to drive too far for it.
Right.
So it all works out.
And see, the other thing is we've seen all these bands multiple times. We know they're all great. You can't go on a stage after COC unless you're Clutch, you know?
That's right.
And you can't go on a stage after Clutch unless you're Lamb of God. So this actually works out. Because most bands that would try to go on tour and say, let's bring Clutch and COC with us are going to look fucking stupid when they get on stage because they're going to be blown away.
Yeah.
But Lamb of God obviously is a band that can get on stage and, you know, hold their own for sure.
That's right. And they're not worried about that kind of stuff.
Right.
They just want a good bill, you know?
Yeah. And this is the true definition of a good bill.
This is a great bill. This is a stupendously astronomical bill. And we will fucking be there.
Yeah. And if you do not know, Clutch's album that came out last year, Psychic Warfare, is kick-ass. Lamb of God's album that came out last year, 7 something something something, is badass. And Sturmerdringer.
There you go. That'll work.
Yeah. And then...
I'm going to let you just go with that. I'm not even going to correct you.
And then Corrosion of Conformity is working on a new album. And it's supposed to be out sometime this year, so that's definitely one of the thing I'm looking forward to most this year as far as new music. So can't wait to hear what that's going to sound like. Well, more new music is
Yes.
Ace Frehley.
Which,
He just came out with a new album like a year ago.
And he's already back at it again.
And I listened to it, and it was, it's typical Ace Frehley. It didn't blow me out the door, but it was cool. It's fun. It's fun to listen to. And this new album is a covers album. And he's calling it,
Origins Volume 1.
There you go. I knew it was something Volume 1. Well, it's Origins because most of the covers are all stuff that influenced him.
Yeah.
The stuff like Eric Clapton, Cream, Thin Lizzy, the Beatles, Free, all that kind of stuff. And this just got announced, and there's a song up where you can stream and listen to White Room, which is the Cream classic song.
Yes.
You listened to this, right?
Yeah, I sure did.
Yeah, I did as well. So let's hear what you think.
I liked it. It was pretty rocked up. It wasn't like heavy, but it was, a lot more in your face, real electric, real hot.
Yeah.
So it just grabbed you from the minute you hit play. His vocals are good. I think his drummer, Scott Coogan, so his name, helps him out a little bit. So, with the vocals, I think they kind of trade off. And if this is any indication, it's going to be a great album. I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
So, once again, it's not going to be bad because, this guy knows what he's doing. So, I'm looking forward to hearing it for sure.
Yeah, Cream's the type of band you're not going to cover unless you're going to be able to do it some kind of justice.
Yeah.
And like you said, it's a little bit heavier, but it's not intense or anything. And the vocals are kind of, have a little bit of a distortion to them, I think, don't they? Or is that just me?
Oh, I don't know.
They just sounded a little...
I'll have to give that another listen.
It just sounded like there's some kind of effect on them. I don't know. But,
well, what it probably was is did you hear it from the Rolling Stone article, the link?
Yeah.
Well, see, that's what it is. If it comes from Rolling Stone, it's already tainted anyways.
Right.
Just because that's a piece of shit magazine that knows nothing about rock and roll.
Yeah.
And Ace Frehley, and they should be privileged. Ace Frehley let them feature him. They should be humbled.
Right.
So, and, in typical Rolling Stone fashion, they fucked up something good. So it had to be their fault.
Yeah, we'll just lay the blame on them.
Well, yeah, obviously. Why wouldn't you? I wouldn't even use that stuff for toilet paper.
Well, the other thing of note on this album is that Paul Stanley's on a track with him.
Oh, yeah, that's right. John 5 is on there too, but no, Paul Stanley, sorry.
Well, yeah, like John 5, Slash,
Yeah.
Mike McCready from Pearl Jam.
That's right.
A few other people. Just obviously, as Ace Frehley, he could just call someone and say, "Come over," and they're going to do it.
Yeah, they're not going to say no.
Yeah, he influenced practically everybody you like.
Yeah.
Yeah, you, who's listening, he influenced them.
Yeah, and you, exactly.
Well, Paul Stanley with recording with him this is the first time, I think it said, in 18 years, which would that have been Psycho Circus?
Oh, yeah.
I guess probably.
They're doing that free song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool to see, and it'll be good. Paul Stanley's good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I don't care what people say. So that's definitely one to look forward to this year. I think it's supposed to be out in a couple months. Well, another album that's coming out this year is the new album from the Dead Daisies.
You're looking forward to this one, I know.
Yeah, we've talked about them a few times on different episodes, one of which was our best of 2015. You can go back and check out. Did that at the end of the year. And Dead Daisies was on the list with an album last year, and they're already back working on a new one. And I'm surprised we forgot to mention this the last couple episodes, but, recent news was Richard Fortus, who's been the guitarist, I think, since the beginning.
Yeah.
Him and Dizzy Reed both left, because they're working on another, quote, project.
Which we know what that is.
Right.
Guns N' Roses.
Yes. So, and Dead Daisies, of course, are going to go on in this meantime, and they've brought in Doug Aldrich.
Yeah.
Doug Aldrich, however you say it. Which to me, it's another one of those things, kind of like we just talked about that tour lineup.
Yeah.
It's kind of mind-blowing because you've got him with Brian Tichy and John Corabi.
I know.
Which is just three of the greatest dudes in my world of rock.
Oh, mine will be blown, Trent.
Right. So yeah, I can't, because they had this real, 70s rock sound to them, just kind of, but heavier, just this amped up 70s rock sound. And so it's kind of interesting to see what he brings to the mix.
Yeah.
Because his guitar style is a lot different than Richard Fortus's is. So it'd just be interesting to see if he plays into what they're already doing or if he brings a new element to it. I don't know.
He might, you never know. He is he's a virtuoso. So, it's going to only make the band better. Not that it wasn't better before, but
right.
Just saying.
Yeah, and I think the album, it's probably still a ways out, and they're working on it. I think it said later this year, so.
Yeah.
That's definitely something to look forward to. This is a band that's another one of those super groups that hopefully more people start checking out. They've been on a lot of good stuff. They've been on these cruises. They've opened for Kiss and Aerosmith and Whitesnake.
Yeah, and I think they've got a pretty good following down in South America too, right?
Yeah, it's true.
They go down there and just slay, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do we got? We want to play another song, right?
I think so. Let's get into it.
Yeah, we're going to play a band out of Oklahoma. Actually, is it Stillwell, Oklahoma, right?
I think so, yeah.
They're called Redwitch Johnny. And this song we're going to play for you is called Rock and Roll Queen.
down around New Orleans. She was Ellefson singer. On another man's dream, my little rock and roll queen. Yeah, you know what I mean. She's a rock and roll queen. Yeah, you know what I mean. She's a rock and roll queen. Yeah, you know what I mean. She's a rock and roll queen. Yeah, you know what I mean. Just a rock and roll queen.
All right, rock and roll queen from Redwitch Johnny out of Stillwell, Oklahoma.
That was badass.
Yes, that's just another one of those things you don't really need to say much other than that was badass.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that it's, you know, it fucking rocks, but it's kind of like, it's like organic, and it you just kind of want to like crack open a beer and just go rock out in the woods kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
That sounds dumb, but I don't care. Just trying to give you, I don't know, it's just a good, raw, natural vibe. You know, it's just out there for everyone, and just a fun song, and can't wait to see these guys live.
Yeah, this is like the sound of these guitars is just so much like everything I started getting into in the early 90s that wasn't real heavy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
I was into all the heavy stuff, but the other stuff I was really into was, you know, Aerosmith, Black Crowes, Brother Kane, Rolling Stones,
Yeah.
Guns N' Roses, you know, just all that, you know, that's just this pure rock and roll attitude, you know, where it's almost at times, you know, maybe not on this song, but a couple of these songs have a punk vibe almost at times.
Okay.
Just mixed with that, you know, that sound that you can tell these dudes probably like the Stones, but they also want to rock heavier, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
That kind of Izzy Stradlin swagger, you know, like, hey, fuck you, you know. This is what I'm doing. You know, that's just kind of what it made me think of. And the vocals, they weren't what I expected to hear once the song started.
Okay.
First time I listened to them.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, that's different, and that's really cool, you know, because it wasn't, I expected someone to be a little more, you know, just screaming or a little more attitude in there, and this was just kind of like almost a laid back in what you'd hear in like a red dirt country band or something.
Yeah.
And it just works so great, you know, because it's just, it makes a real original sound, you know?
Yeah.
And like you said, I'd love to see this band live. They've got an EP out, and the whole thing kicks ass.
Yeah, you guys should definitely go check them out.
And they're on Reverb Nation. They're on Spotify. You can listen to the stuff there. You can hit them up on Facebook, Redwitch Johnny. Do yourself a favor.
Get into them. And I think next up, what else have we got? We want to talk about the Lita Ford book coming out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Lita Ford's got a book coming out here in March, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's kind of coinciding it with the fact that she's got a new album coming out as well. And she's also going on tour, which is obviously smart, do all this stuff at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
You know, get a big push promotion-wise.
Opening for Hailstorm.
Yeah.
And they're coming here.
Yeah, which is killer. You know, Hailstorm's done this now. They did it with Tom Kiefer like a couple years ago. They had him out on a bunch of dates. So it's kind of cool to see a band that's, you know, popular these days, you know, taking out, you know, we saw bands do that in the 90s, you know, we saw Cheap Trick opening for STP.
Yeah.
You know, just Metallica's taking out old school bands. You just see that kind of stuff. It's cool to see. So glad that she got on a tour like that, and hopefully
Yeah, I think it'll help her out.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm interested to read this book because, you know, she's had quite a story, especially the past 10 years or so, you know, with her divorce and her custody battle, and a lot of it she hasn't been able to talk about, and I guess she is now. So it's, you know, going to be real behind the scenes, so I'm looking forward to reading about it.
Yeah, and she's someone that's been in this business since she was a kid. You know? I mean, not like a teenager. You know, obviously with the Runaways, they were all teenagers out here in the rock world, you know, so I'm sure she's got some crazy shit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, has to. And you know, that kind of, when we thought about what we want to talk about today, and you know, that this came up, this just kind of made us think about, well, you know, let's just kind of go over some some other rock books, because that's something me and you are always interested in, and we're always talking about. So, I mean, when it comes to rock and metal books, I mean, what's the first things that pop up into your head?
Well, The Dirt is the first thing.
I mean, that's the granddaddy of it, isn't it? Really, yeah, it is.
Yeah, I mean that's the one that if anyone asked me what book they should read, I would probably say that first.
Definitely.
Just because I love the idea of it. Outside of just how crazy the stories were, obviously.
Yeah.
The idea that here's basically an autobiography from 4 or 5, well, more than that, but basically 4 dudes.
Mm-hmm.
All together in one book.
Yeah.
Every chapter, if you haven't read it, every chapter is written by a different member of the band. And it just kind of, it goes through the timeline that way and just kind of rotates between the guys. And then they have, chapters in there, obviously, from John Corabi and Pamela Anderson and other people that were involved.
Yeah, managers and all that bullshit.
Yeah. But it's just so over the top. And, so obviously when the Heroin Diaries came out, I got that instantly. And that, that thing is an amazing read as well. But it's so many people have this theory that it's complete bullshit.
Really?
There's just a lot of people think it's completely made up, which it could be because, I mean, how could you write this detailed of diaries when you're that fucked up?
Yeah.
Because, have you read that?
No, I haven't.
But
hey, if you're a Motley fan or if you're a Nikki Sixx fan,
yeah,
well, fuck, he can do whatever he wants.
Oh,
he
yeah.
wrote it.
I mean,
either way, he wrote it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not knocking the thing at all. I mean, it's crazy stuff as well, and it's definitely one of the things I would recommend to anyone to read. But it's, it is, kind of makes you wonder how true a lot of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you never know. You never know.
But, after that, well, if you want to stay on the subject of Crue, I've also read Tommy's book.
Really?
And that
was probably, about 3 pages long? I think he only knows about 15 words, right?
Right.
Okay.
No, it is shorter than a normal book. You're right.
See, I fucking called it. Yes.
Well, it's a good read as well. It's not nearly as good as The Dirt or Nikki's book.
Okay.
But it's, once again, it's just a, good read, but it's just kind of, I don't know. It wasn't as memorable, I guess, even though it was good. And then I've got Vince's book just because I buy these things.
Yeah.
And I haven't read that, but my girlfriend has, and she said it was kind of annoying.
Really?
She said it was a lot of whiny.
I was about to say, it's probably a lot of bitching, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of bitching and whiny woe is me stuff.
Yeah.
When really the only thing woe is me he has is his daughter. Outside of that, fuck him. He can't. I'm not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But, okay, before I keep rambling, I've got a couple other ones, but what's the top of your list?
Oh, for me, just the first ones that come up for me, well, The Dirt, for reasons we already discussed. I really, really enjoyed Glenn Hughes' book.
Yeah.
That guy's done and seen it all. And he, great stories of, addiction, redemption, all that stuff. I'm the Man by Scott Ian. Thought it was great. I loved Dave Ellefson's book from Megadeth. Butch Walker's book, I think, was really good.
Yeah, I was going to mention that.
Yeah, that one was really cool because that guy has done everything from being in a hair metal band to, writing songs for Pink.
Yeah.
And everything in between. So there's just some great stories, no matter what you like in that book.
Yeah, it's a great read straight through.
Even
if you don't know his music, just his story.
Yeah,
is just cool as hell. Because he's been through it all,
and
the highs, the lows, everything.
And that's the thing is that a lot of these books, even if you don't really know, they're great. They're great reads. They're great stories.
Yeah.
No matter what. Just to round it out, I thought, God, what was the one I was trying to think about? Mustaine's book was really cool.
Yeah.
That was really cool, but if you want just total laughs, read Zakk Wylde's book. I can't even remember what it was called right off the top of my head. Bringing Metal to the Children.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, it's a little biographical. It touches on a lot of that, excuse me. But really, it's just stories from all the shit he's been through over the years, and it's done, in his way, so it's just funny as hell. I remember at work, on break or something, I'd be reading it and just bust out laughing. People like, what the hell's so funny? And I tried to explain to them, but if you want to laugh, read Zakk Wylde's book. That's definitely a highlight for sure.
Yeah, I think another one at the top of my list is Slash's book, and it's.
So I have that. I haven't read it yet.
Oh man, it was cool, being with that being my favorite band. There was a lot of stuff in there I found out that I didn't know.
Yeah,
and it confirmed everything I always believed, which was Izzy Stradlin's a badass, and he's, in my opinion, the reason Appetite for Destruction is the most amazing hard rock album ever recorded.
Yeah.
And because Slash said in that book that, that when they recorded Appetite for Destruction, every single Izzy Stradlin part on Appetite for Destruction is his first take.
Wow.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it is. It is.
He said he actually, he recorded, most of them, he recorded 3 or 4 takes, but every single one of them, they just used the first take.
Really?
And even ones when he said, no, let me redo that, they still used the first take because it was the best one.
That's crazy.
Which there's, you can't say that about pretty much anything, especially records at that level.
Yeah.
And,
but see, that's why that record was so badass.
Yeah.
It was just, first run, raw as shit. I mean, and it's just little things like that add up and make it so memorable.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of GNR, I have both of Duff's books and I have Steven Adler's book, but I have not read any of them.
I have Adler's book. Yes, I haven't read it. But yeah. Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier Mustaine, which I would like to throw in. We got that when it came out, and we went to the Dave Mustaine book signing.
That's right.
And
I was a blubbering fucking jumble-mouthed fanboy.
But the best part was yours might be the most unique because he signed it twice. Like he was looking up, talking, and he started to sign it again, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it was. I think I said something stupid like, looking forward to the show tonight or something. I don't know. I mean, yeah, of course I am, Anyways, I don't know. Or something happened. He was looking at somebody else, but he made the anarchy sign and then signed it and then started to make the anarchy sign again. And he went, oh shit, I'm sorry. I already did that. And so I have, and like, he shook my hand and apologized again. I was like, you don't have to apologize. You could write whatever the fuck you want in this book. You're Dave Mustaine. So my autograph is Dave Mustaine with an anarchy sign and like another half of an anarchy sign. It's pretty unique.
Yeah. Another one I went to a book signing for and bought was Dee Snider's, which is very cool. Met him and got that book signed.
Really? I never even knew that.
What?
When was this?
A couple years ago now when the book came out.
Where at?
In Norman. Like I drove down there by myself because no one would go with me.
Where was I?
Did
you ask me?
I think I asked you and Tracy and whoever.
What the fuck?
I went down there and Trevor was there, but he was in line way ahead of me. But,
really?
It was cool. He went up, he signed the book, and he'd sign whatever else you brought. Talk to you, shake your hand, take a picture.
What, was he a nice guy?
Oh, yeah, he was cool as hell. Like, I took, besides the book, I printed off some pictures that I had took of him at the first Rocklahoma.
Okay.
Or no, actually, I think it was the second one, because it was with the snow.
Yes, yeah.
And he, I handed it to him to sign. He's like, man, He's like, where the hell was this at? I was like, this was Rocklahoma. He's like, oh shit, yeah, I should have known that because he said I could tell him sweating balls because his hair was all wet in the picture, and yeah, he was cool as hell. But I still haven't read his book either.
You're an ass.
I know.
Well, so where do you have the picture?
Yeah.
Fuck, I gotta see this. Jesus.
I'll show it to you once we're done.
Okay.
Well, is there are there any books that you've read that you didn't care for, or that bored you?
I don't know. I don't
think so.
What is it?
See, here's I will buy when it could, see, I like to read, but it's weird. The only thing I like to read is autobiographies, whether it's like we're talking about rock,
Yeah.
or whether it's sports or, actors or whoever. I just love autobiographies, but I don't care about anything else for the most part. So anything that sounds interesting to me, I'll get it. So I got Stacey Blades' autobiography.
Stacey Blades?
Yeah. And it's called Confessions of a Replacement Rock Star.
Oh my God.
He was in who was he even? I can't even remember. Who was in LA Guns and Pretty Boy Floyd, I think? I can't remember for sure.
Wow.
It wasn't bad. It was just extremely boring. So I didn't even I stopped halfway through.
Did you finish it?
No.
Okay.
You can find it on my bookshelf and it's still got a bookmark halfway through.
That's awesome.
But I've also got Mark Evans from AC/DC.
Really?
He was the original bass player. I've got his book. I've got Sean, I'm going to butcher her last name, from White Zombie.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Sean from White Zombie, she's got a book called I'm in the Band, because she said back then she used to always get shit and they wouldn't let her backstage half the time.
Yeah.
Because they thought she was just some chick trying to get backstage.
Oh, God. That reminds me as far as things I never finished. Do you remember that book, Lords of Chaos?
That sounds weird. Yeah.
Something, I can't. It was this long title, the something of the Norwegian satanic metal underground.
Oh yeah.
About all the black metal bands in the early '90s burning the churches in Norway.
Yeah.
That was an intense read. Look it up. My father-in-law even borrowed it. He saw it on my bookshelf and he's like, "What's this?" And I explained it to him. And he was like, "Wow, this is really crazy. I want to read this." I said, "Well, I've had it for 15 years. Take it." And, because, the most he ever gets into is Sammy Hagar and a lot of blues stuff. But he still wanted to read this. And he liked it because it's just intense and it's crazy. And these bands killing each other and burning churches and just Lords of Chaos. And it was so intense and it was so descriptive and it was so long. I just eventually gave up on it, but I got through a lot of it and it's crazy. So yeah, look that one up too.
Yeah. There's another book that I've been wanting to get forever, and I finally got it a few months ago, even though I still hadn't read it, obviously, but I bought it because I saw it at Half Price Books.
Yeah. And
it was Ian Christie's book.
Oh, yeah.
I'm already drawing a blank on what it's called.
Isn't it the roots of...
Yes, the roots of metal or something. But just because when you hear that guy on Sirius,
yeah,
the guy knows so much, it's insane.
He knows his shit.
So that's definitely one, I think, and that's a thick-ass book as well. But speaking of books like that, also one you didn't mention, or two you didn't mention, was Eddie Trunk.
Oh, yeah. What the hell was I thinking? Holy shit.
Obviously, those aren't autobiographies, but they're...
I think that's what happened. We were thinking more of things by band guys. But, Eddie Trunk's Hard Rock, Essential Hard Rock and Heavy Metal, Volume 1 and 2. If you don't have those, holy shit. You need to go get them now. I mean, if there's any band you're wondering about, or, I don't know, if you're new to it or something, go get these books, because they're great.
Yeah, and they're just him, talking about, every chapter is just about a different band.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just him talking about it. And it's
stories, his personal encounters with him, all his dealings, just some cool pictures. Yeah, those are some books you definitely need to get for sure.
I just thought of another one that I read that was badass. And this has been 10 years probably since I read it. But Lobotomy by Dee Dee Ramone.
Oh, yeah. Fuck, that was a crazy one, dude.
Yeah.
That guy's nuts.
That's high up on the list of things I would recommend to people to read.
Yeah, how did we forget that?
Right. Yeah, Dee Dee Ramone from the Ramones. It's just, that was another one I thought, well, this might be interesting. But it was literally one of the better books I've ever read. Yeah. And so,
first story that pops up in my head from that book. He's in London in some club with Sid Vicious, some shithole club, and they're in the bathroom, and they don't have anything to mix with their heroin to put it in the needle. So they get some water from the nasty, dirty-ass toilet.
Right.
I'm not kidding you. That fucked me up.
Right. Well, you mentioned Sammy Hagar. Have you read his book?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I got that and I started it, but like a lot of things, I keep forgetting to go back and finish it. It's good as well. And I even wrote down a few here that I've got that I have not read.
Really?
Like I've got Steven Tyler's and Joey Kramer's from Aerosmith.
Oh, wow.
I've got two from Rat, Stephen Pearcy and Bobby Blotzer.
Yeah.
Haven't read those.
Wow, those would be good.
Yeah, I'm sure those two books are just them bitching about each other.
And they're wildly different.
Right. And then I've got Rex Brown's book.
Oh, yeah, I wanted to get that.
And Keith Richards, Pete Townsend, Tony Iommi, Brian Johnson. I've got all these.
I've got the Iommi book. I still haven't. I think I tried to start it. I have the Lemmy book. I never started it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah. And another one that's kind of a little bit away from rock, but it gets into it later, is Chris Jericho's books.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, the first one's just about wrestling, but it talks about his life and how much he loved heavy metal growing up and everything. And when you get into the second and especially the third book, it's got a lot of stuff about Fozzy, what he does now, which is Fozzy,
Yeah.
So that's cool. Those are definitely worth reading if you're into Jericho at all.
Cool. Okay.
Well, and then, so is there anyone that you would love to read a book from that doesn't have a book?
God, you have to put me on the spot. I think about this shit at random all day. Any of the guys from Metallica.
Right.
I mean, there's been books like, the book that was like a companion of the movie, some kind of monster or whatever. And there's been like unauthorized stuff, but like something that was by them, I would like to read. So, that's probably, the top. I would, I think if, I would like to read that Peter Steele book.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that exists. I just haven't read it yet.
But that was just a biography, right?
Yes.
Obviously, he didn't write that before.
No, yeah. I think it would be interesting if and when Mina Caputo ever wrote a book.
Oh, yeah.
I would read that, definitely. So, yeah, something like that. But, yeah, mainly number one, I think if James Hetfield ever wrote a book, I would be there, first thing the day it came out to get it for sure.
Yeah.
And I'd probably have it already done by that night.
I don't know. Mine would probably be, obviously, Izzy Stradlin.
Yeah.
Would be cool to hear from because he's a guy that you don't really hear stuff from.
Yeah, definitely.
And he's probably got a lot of, crazy stuff he could tell you.
Yeah.
But I seriously doubt that ever happens.
Yeah, I know. No kidding.
I think this is a controversial subject at the moment, but I think a book from Phil Anselmo would be good.
Yes, it would.
Even to parlay off that would be Rob Flynn, because everything Rob Flynn writes, if you've never read his blog, is just great. He's a great writer, great stuff to read. It's always interesting.
Yeah.
And he doesn't hold back on anything, obviously, with the Phil thing.
Oh,
but
no.
Even way before that.
And if Phil wrote a book, Vernon Reed could do the foreword.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Which I'm not trying to be a dick. This brings up a valid point I brought up to you.
Right.
When all this shit went down. And I would be interested to hear what somebody from the band Living Colour has to think about this. Because if, what was it, last year, the year before, in the festival season, it seemed like Down and Living Colour were on every fucking festival. And you could go to either one's social media, and they were all hanging with each other, getting on stage, jamming with each other, and, being cool and being bros. And so I just, and not a race thing at all, but it's just those two bands sound so much. I mean, they're worlds apart.
Right.
And so I just thought that was really cool. And so but now seeing what's happened, I would like to see what those guys have to say about it. But I don't know. We may never hear that at all. But I don't know. I just wanted to throw that in.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of podcasting. We get off on all these tangents. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I know there's probably a million more people that we could throw out that we would love to hear or read stuff from.
Yeah,
Like,
yep.
I know that there was actually 2 or 3 years ago, there was something said that John Corabi was writing a book, but
That'd be a good one.
Haven't heard anything about that since.
Yeah.
I think Mick Mars writing a full book would be pretty cool and interesting, and that's something that could happen too. But
yeah, that would be really good. That would be probably the only one that made any fucking sense.
Right?
You know?
Does that cover the books? Do you got anything else you want to throw in?
No, I think we got it on that one.
Well, moving along, a thing of note was I think I mentioned this to you over the last couple years. I've been thinking now that these festivals are such a big thing all over the place.
Yeah.
In America now, besides just like they've always been across the world. Well, I've been thinking they've got to do Woodstock for the 50th anniversary because they did it for the 25th anniversary and then the 30th anniversary.
Yeah.
And then obviously after the 30th one, the way it ended.
The shitstorm.
Yeah. That, they stopped doing it, but I kept thinking they're probably going to bring this back. And then sure enough, recently this news broke that they're talking, are in the works of putting together Woodstock 50 for 2019.
Yeah.
And then talks of doing stuff more in the future and in other countries as well, I guess, with the Woodstock brand. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, what you have any thoughts on that?
Well, is there a Woodstock brand? That it's been kind of dormant for so long. Yeah. I guess it would just take someone to just revive the whole thing. It's
like one of the most iconic names when you think of that.
Well, true.
And they've got that logo. They can just slap on stuff, right?
And then, bam. I think that it makes sense because, just like we were saying earlier, it's a different climate now. People are used to festivals. People know how to act at them. People are used to paying a lot of money for, they're used to paying $7 for a bottle of water or whatever, some stupid shit like that. So, it would work. It would work nowadays, I think. And it would be one of those deals where they would have it would run the gamut of bands and artists. They would have stuff that is completely out of our wheelhouse, and they probably would have great bands that we could talk about all day. Because, they're going to make it a multi-day event and all that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think with the way festivals are today in America and overseas, it could be pulled off, and it probably wouldn't be, there wouldn't be, pillaging and fires and shit like the last one, you know. It's just as long as they didn't get Limp Bizkit to play, I guess.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, I imagine that, the lineup would probably be like Bill Street lineups.
Yeah.
Where it's kind of like what you said, where it's got the rock and the metal, then it's got blues and country, and then it's got rap, and it's got alternative stuff and whatever. It works because that's what they did basically, in 94, you had all the hot rock music.
Yes.
You even had stuff like Jackal was there. And,
yeah.
And then you had, rap and everything else. So, but, Woodstock itself was a rock music festival.
Yes, it was.
But it was that, obviously that time's rock music. But, today that word's so bastardized that can mean anything. That could mean that, Ludacris is going to be up there, which, that's a bad example because he's one of the few good ones, but.
Yeah. Or, they could have some 19-year-old shitlick up there with his laptop.
There you go.
You can pass it off as rock.
Yeah.
You never know these days. So, yeah definitely.
So, yeah, when we get close to that time and that lineup comes out, that's something I might seriously consider just for the, the sheer fact of being able to say that I finally went to Woodstock,
The history of it, the epicness of it. Okay.
Well, and speaking of American festivals, there's this new one called Chicago Open Air.
Yeah.
Which when they first announced it, we were both kind of excited because they had that word open air on there.
Yeah, which
lends you to believe that it's going to be like the European metal festivals.
That's the buzzword, isn't it?
Yeah, like Wacken and Hellfest and all that stuff because they always have open air attached to it.
Bloodstock and whatnot, yeah.
But the only band they've announced is Rammstein.
Yeah.
So that right there leads you to believe maybe it could be. But then they've dropped a lot of hints for other bands, and they're all the same bands that are on all these other American festivals.
Yeah. Well, it's the same guys doing it, right?
Yeah, I think it's the same guy that runs Rock on the Range and partners with AEG or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's all the, Korn, Disturbed, Marilyn Manson, Alice in Chains,
Slipknot, whatever, yeah.
Five Finger, Nutsack, all that stuff.
Which isn't bad.
Well, no, some of them are good, some of them aren't. But, it's just, I thought, I had high hopes that, well, maybe this one will be a little different.
Yeah.
But maybe, maybe it will. It's 3 days. Maybe they'll have those bands and Rammstein and then a bunch of, maybe the lower part will be totally, maybe there'll be Amon Amarth and Testament.
That would be amazing. That would be awesome. Just as long as it's not in Douglas Park.
Which is where we saw Riot Fest. And it was a mud pit.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
One more thing before we wrap this up.
Okay.
I just thought of another book
Oh, okay.
that I didn't have written down.
Bring it on back.
The Shannon Hoon book.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
This came out, I don't know, 7-8 years ago. Obviously, way after he died.
Mm-hmm.
But the cool thing about this book is, even though it's a biography, it's written like the dirt.
Really?
Where every chapter is one of the band members or his wife, or she his wife or girlfriend, or I think maybe even his mom. Just like anyone that had anything to do with anything.
Really?
Involved with Blind Melon or involved with him. There would be chapters written from him, and then there would be quotes pulled that he had, said in interviews or whatever.
Gotcha.
So, it was a kind of a unique way to write a biography where it wasn't just your standard.
Yeah.
Some guy wrote some unauthorized biography. It's all told, by the people that knew him.
Yeah, which, that's the next best thing.
Yeah, and it's, it's a really, another really cool read because obviously he was a very unique person. So that was kind of that's another one I would recommend.
There you go. Okay.
All right.
Go check it out.
Yeah. And while you're checking that out, check out thethunderunderground.com. It's got all our social media links, all our previous podcasts, which recently included an interview with the guys from Delacoma, an interview with Ian Hogland from Europe,
Yes.
an interview with a couple of guys from Grind. All these you need to check out because they're all very cool people and very cool bands.
And very great episodes.
Yes. And all that's on soundcloud.com/thunder-underground. And you can find all our previous 42 episodes on there, which includes everything from Crowbar to Battlecross to Warrant to Miss May I, Frank Hannon Band, Scattered Hamlet, Insight, Sons of Texas,
Yeah.
Driver, Severmind.
Oh, man.
The list goes on and on.
It goes on and on.
Yeah. We're on Facebook at The Thunder Underground. We're on YouTube at The Thunder Underground. On Instagram at The Thunder Underground. And we're on Twitter at THNDRUNDR Ground. Check out, like we said earlier, Redwitch Johnny and Kerosene.
Yep. 43. We're coming up on 50.
Yeah.
Well, are we going to do anything special?
Yeah, it's the silver anniversary. Is that what that 50 is?
What are we going to do?
We're going to have James Hetfield on the podcast.
Oh, really? Okay, well.
That's just a good 50
Good
filler.
luck on trying to make that happen.
That's a good 50 filler. The 100 mark will be Pepper Keenan. It'll be Trump and...
Oh, okay.
Well, Trump, James Hetfield was something cool.
No, I don't want Trump on anything that has to do with me.
No, I'm saying
Oh,
the
okay.
word Trump.
The word Trump, okay.
Yeah.
Which he fucked up that word Trump.
The verb, right?
That was a legit word, and he fucked that word up because that's his last name. Anyways, here we go.
His daughter could do something to... Anyway.
We got to go.
I was about to say something bad. Or something perverted.
I'm sure you were.
All right. Yeah, we've run out. We've run the course here.
It's time to sign off.
All right. Until next time.